man. He also holds an SSC certificate. So it looks like Babia Samwa and Mohammed Adamu are still locking horns in 2020, and we might want to see
it will be interesting to also look at the third party, even though the figures do not really favor them that much. But GUM appears to be getting a lot more votes than the party that came out third in the 2016 election, and I'm referring to the PPP. The GUM party, the GUM party, appears to be getting a lot more votes. What could be accounting for that?
And we will take that, but take Barbara Kuma. She is at Okaikwe North, and she's currently on the line. Barbara Kuma is at the Okaikwe North constituency right here in the Greater Accra region. Barbara, our mission is simple. Tell us where you are and whether or not collation has begun.
Okay, I am right at the collation center at Immaculate Conception School at New Boyman, which is where the collation is going on for the Okaikwe North constituency. Currently, what is going on is that there are over 64 polling stations in this constituency are retiring and reconciling their numbers, the results, before we enter the collation center where the results will be announced later on after collation. So that is what is going. There have been pockets of small minor misunderstandings, but nothing major, nothing big that should attract the news or attention. So that's what's going on currently here.
If you can tell us a little more about the Okaikwe, North or South, North constituency, that's been traditionally held by the MPP, hasn't it?
Hello?
Tell us about the constituency. It's been traditionally
an MPP stronghold.
Yes.
Since 1996, the MPP has, taken the lead in this constituency, and the NDC has been trying for years now to take the seats from the NPP, but it looks like the people here are resolved or bent on voting for the NPP. So, but from the small I see, from the small I see here around, the supporters of the incumbents, that's saying Issa, are jubilating, and they are speculating they have won the elections, and although we are yet to confirm, that is what is going on here.
All right. It will be good if you can paint a picture for us by perhaps giving us some of the provisional results you may have compiled. What does the picture look like?
Unfortunately, we are yet to get some of the results because we're not allowed come close to the polling stations when they were counting the results. So we are yet to get some of the provisional results from the polling presiding officers or the polling officials. So we are still here. We are waiting for them to finish retiring their materials and also reconciling the results with the EC officials before we get any certification or the provisional results from them.
Barbara, was the counting not done publicly?
It was done publicly. It was done publicly.
And how were reporters prevented from accessing?
No, we were not prevented. We were around, but just that we couldn't get close to the counting officials because there were lots of people.
Right.
So we had to be taken. We had to be.
All right, Barbara, I get a picture. The good news is that you are finally there to get us the certified results, which indeed is what we are all eagerly waiting for, so we can begin to have a look at the picture and how it may look like at the end of the day. Barbara Kuma from Okaikwe North, we are grateful, and we'll be touching base with you once again. Returning to the studio, so that's the constituency we just spoke about.
Sure.
Okaikwe North, tell us about it.
Barbara Kuma rightly said it is in the Greater Accra region. The incumbent party is the NPP, and the number of polling stations, we have 131. Number of voter stations, we have 162. Number of registered voters, we have 76,399. And of course, the incumbent party is the NPP. And in this elections, we have 3 parties contesting that seat. We have Fuseni Issa of the NPP. He is 45 years. He is a banker. And then we have Theresa Ladi Awuni of the NDC. She is 41 years. She is a consultant and she holds a first degree. And Abdul Hamudu Ibrahim Futa is from the CPP. He is 24 years. He's a student and he holds a WASI certificate.
Shall we look at the
2016?
And
sure, I may have to.
And how it may pan out in 2020 as well.
Sure, so 2016 figures, we have Fuseni Issa of the NPP, and then we have Abdul Razak Issa of the NDC. And it looks like 2016, the candidate is not contesting again for 2020 because the name we had in 2020 is different.
Sure,
sure, and this time, yeah.
But the picture here is
28,083, sure.
As against 23,617. That gives us roughly a difference of about 5,000 votes. 5,000 votes.
Sure.
For the NDC candidates to garner 5,000 votes in this constituency, for me, Mr. Jakodro, looks like
a huge task.
A huge task.
Sure.
Especially given the history of that constituency.
Particularly, if you look at Hussein Issa, I think he's done very well. He's a very quiet person, but he's a very effective and efficient individual in what he does. Because if you clearly look at Okaikwe North, it was broken up. I mean, then when it was together, Patrick Abuama was holding the seat, and the current Greater Accra Regional Minister was there. Then, and no, the Deputy Minister, I should say.
Yes.
The woman was then holding the seat, but with a very small margin. When he came in 2016, he actually took it, did effective campaigning and widened the gap then. And I think he's some people within MPP have tried contesting him there, and he's remained solid on the ground and has won the internal party contest. And I'm not too sure about the candidate. I really don't know much about the candidate fielded by the NDC, Ms. Awuni.
Yes.
But I do know the former candidate, Razak. Abdul Rashid, yes. Razak Issa was a long-term assembly member in the area and knows the terrain very well. But I think it's going to be difficult for the NDC to turn that number. It's actually a little over. It's about 4,400 and something. Right. But I will be surprised if there's any upset there. But let's see. I mean, the final results will determine. But when you see supporters jubilating, sometimes it shows they have got
some
information
yes.
we don't yet have here.
Because they so have agents.
The upset will be the incumbent losing. But for now, I don't expect it. I don't foresee that.
Yes. Oh, Sandrine from the Ashanti region. Sandrine, we are interested in especially the Ashanti region also because it's the stronghold, and you are in Bekwai specifically. Tell us exactly what you have observed at the Bekwai constituency so far.
Okay, good evening to you all. So, I'm reporting from the Bekwai constituency, and Bekwai has an interesting history when it comes to the election. So since the election, it's always been an MPP seat until 2008, when one of the MPP members actually left the party and decided to go independent. And that is, he's called Joseph Ostei, also popularly called Joe Wise in Ashanti region. So he went independent and he actually won. You know, they didn't vote for the MPP candidate, they actually voted for the independent candidate. So he came to Parliament in 2008 on the ticket as an independent MP. And he joined the minority then, which was the MPP in Parliament. So since 2008, Mr. Joseph Ostei has been the MP and he's standing again. So this time there's been an interesting trend as well, like history repeating itself. Put it that. So one of the MPP members again this year defected to be an independent candidate. He goes by the name Akwesi Amfa Ajemai. He says he's going independent. And I mean, so now they have 4 parliamentary candidates here. We have Joseph Osei Owusu for the NPP, Afon Charles for the NDC, Yahya Nasiru for the PNC, Akwesi Amofajman, who defected and is going independent.
Okay, Sandrine, I'll just need, Sandrine, if you can hear me, I'll just need you to lift up your voice a little more, okay, so our viewers can hear these figures you are churning out for us this evening.
Okay. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you. Proceed now.
Okay, so the total number of voters registered, those who registered for the 2020 elections in the Pai constituency, we have 79,850 for the Pai constituency, and we have 4 persons standing for the parliamentary candidate. So let me give you some of the figures so far. I'm at the collation center actually, and let's go to the special voters. So the special voters, it happened at the Estiwa Kwesbi, and NPP had 430 votes. Then NBC garnered 74. Boom, had 3. CPP had 1. GFP had 1. PPP had 1. Then we have 2 rejected ballots. So valid vote cast were 516 in addition to the 2 that were rejected. Then we have 518 votes cast. When you go to the parliamentary, NPP had 287, NDC had 11, PNC has 0. Then the independent has 215. It is worthy to note that when it comes to the parliamentary candidature, the competition stands between the NPP candidate and the independent candidate.
All right, Sandrine, yes. I think we get a good picture of what's happening in the Bekwai constituency. What we'd like you to do is to also tell us, because we do know that a number of persons defected from the NPP ahead of this election to contest on their own because they lost at the primary level, and they were not allowed to contest on the ticket of the NPP. And so they defected. Some of them have decided to go independent, as it is in the case of Mr. Kwesi Amofa Ajiman. Yes, are you able to tell us if there are any other such persons within the Ashanti region who have gone independent? Because we've seen a reduction in the votes that were gathered by the MPP candidates in Bekwai in particular. So
when we listened, I actually spoke to some of the NPP persons, and what happened was that when these people decided to leave the party because they thought it was unfair, the party was being unfair to them, the party had consultations with them for them to stand down. So most of them didn't contest on independent basis. But then the issue here is the fact that lots of people didn't, from my interaction with lots of people, they didn't vote. I'll give you an instance. I was at the municipal education center where they were voting, and people actually waited for like 1:55, and they were running to the center to go and vote, and it was 5. So lots of them weren't allowed to vote, which, I mean, how can you wait to the last minute to go? And lots of people, and I even from the office, I had lots of friends who kept dilly-dallying, delaying, like, oh, you go, and they never, went to vote. So from observation, it seems lots of people are interacted with that they didn't go and vote.
All right, Sandrine, again, I just want us to get back to the figures you were giving us from Bekwai. So you gave us about 2 polling stations. Do you have any others?
I have quite a lot.
Right.
When you go to Orchia MA Primary School, for the NPP, that's the presidential, NPP has 308. NDC has 15. Boom had 1. PPP has 2. PSP had 1. GPP has 0. Then the rejected is 2. So what they started doing is they are collating the presidential results now, and not much of they are working on the presidential now. So I have mostly the presidential. But one unique thing about it, the results coming in is that NDC, NPP, and BOOM are actually in the lead. Like when you see BOOM always has 102, but the others are always getting 0, which is quite strange because BOOM just came in. PPP has been in the elections running for a long time. PPP came the previous elections, but we are not seeing any results coming in for them. It's basically 0. So you go to the Pi RC Primary A, NPP had 256 of the votes cast, NDC had 15. BOOM, okay, didn't get anything, the rest didn't get anything, but we had to reject it.
All right, Sandrine, thank you very much. We will be coming back to you certainly when you have had all the collated results. We'll take a short break. When we return, the analysis will continue from here in the studio. We'll continue to go around the country, the 275 constituencies where we will be bringing you certified results. And when they do come in, our results will be in tandem with the results that the EC will be releasing almost simultaneously as they get certified. We will notify you right here from the studios here at GBC. This is where you get all the authentic and trusted information. GBC, the trusted and authentic voice of Ghana. We'll be right back after this. in real time as we get them from the EC officials. So it's almost like being in the EC strong room if you stay with us here on GBC News and the GTV. So we just had a reporter from the Bekwai constituency. Interesting scenario there, Doc and Mr. Odro, because with this particular constituency, it has always been a stronghold of the NPP. The NPP has held that seat for God knows how long, since 1996. Now, the picture here has changed a bit. In 2008, when Mr. Joseph Osei-Wusu came in as an independent candidate, he won. Then he stood on the ticket of the NPP from then on till now. Mr. Kwesi Amofa Ajiman lost at the primaries, was peeved, and left the party to contest as an independent candidate. Now, where President Akufo-Addo at one of the polling centers had 500 votes plus, the parliamentary candidate, Mr. Joseph Osei-Wusu, polled just about 250 of the votes. That's half of the votes the president got. This doesn't look too good, considering the fact that there are a number of constituencies where the MPP has had people defect or leave to contest as independent candidates. Mr. Drew.
Yes, I think it's not looking good for the first deputy speaker, because it shows that anything can happen. Because under normal circumstances, you expect, if you take the special voters, you expect them to be more savvy. Because what's going to happen is that most often than not, within the area, you're going to see a candidate. Mind you, the parliamentary, the independent candidate actually was not given an opportunity even to contest. The party decided that they were returning Mr. Joseph Osei-Wusu unopposed to contest on the ticket of the party in the area. So this gentleman felt he needed to have been given the opportunity to go through the primaries. It's not looking good for him because he did it to an incumbent. There was, in his situation, there was a context. It was very close. He lost by few votes in the primaries. And he believed that he was more popular than the incumbent, who was then a deputy minister. He went ahead and won and still joined the MPP side when he went in there. So that's not looking good for him. But it may be a little bit too early to also jump the gun, because we've not had too many. Even if we were getting about 10 to 15, that would have helped us do a better projection.
Mr. Drew, we have to take a commercial break. Sorry, Doc, I will return to you very shortly, but this is a break that we have to take. And when we return, the conversations will continue. Please don't go away.
don't be discouraged by what we are saying. Because don't forget that out of the 79,850 registered voters in the district, our analysis has to do with only 5 of the constituencies. And any candidate has got his strong points and his weak areas. So the results that we have looked at, those 5 also results we have looked at, may not really be the case for all the constituencies. So don't be discouraged if you think that you support somebody. And don't think that we are projecting that what we said applies to the entire constituency for all times.
Mr. Ojo.
We need more numbers to be able to draw definite conclusions.
Mr. Ojo, is there nothing the NPP could do to dissuade the independent candidates from going independent?
Well, I think what the management of the primaries was poorly done, without question. And some of the people were so peeved to the point that they refused even to meet the president. So it tells you the level of their anger. That is not to say from the point of view of analysts. I also think we've opened up our electoral system too much. Even those people we learn from, those who've practiced democracy for a long time, they don't open up their parties to contests. That is part of the reason why I think our system has become so monetized. Sometimes somebody will come in just to say, oh, I'm better. I can also, you've had enough 10. I also need to come in. And if they can pay higher, they get it. I think there must be, we must move towards a system that for the sake of party, and it goes to both major parties, for the sake of party strength, even in parliament, you need to maintain a certain number of people. Again, I want to stress on women representation. In an era that we have too few women in parliament, I get very angry when some men begin to contest women. When we are all hoping we can increase women representation in parliament. And Ekotia is a classic case in point. And from where I stand, it's obvious MPP may win the Ekotia presidential election, but they are definitely going to lose the parliamentary election. Why? Just about a month after the inauguration of the new parliament in 2017, individuals started projecting the current parliamentary candidate for the New Patriotic Party. And I was amazed that even at that time, the party did not get up and say, look, you can't start this sort of thing. And it continued, and the candidate was projected as not good enough. So I think political parties need to fashion a system that will be acceptable to their own people and protect certain seats for particular groups and for particular individuals. Especially if you consider Joseph as First Deputy Speaker. It stands to reason. I mean, I would be surprised and MPP would have sacrificed somebody like the majority leader. But you need to bring everybody on board and let them understand why you need to protect some of such people. The women. So
where do the tenets of democracy then come in? That you see, few people prefer that some other person retains a position
because he has been there for long.
He's been there for long, or for whatever other factors. That defeats.
Let me give you an example. If you go to, you can pick UK or the US. They practice democracy more than we have done. If there is the need to replace a member of parliament who passes away or has to retire on health grounds, they leave it with the, sometimes governors can even decide who becomes a member of the House of...
Is that not also because you go to the totally different?
No,
kind of democracy.
You see,
so for example...
we cannot pretend to practice democracy better than even those who started.
So for example, in the US election 2016, Hillary Clinton won the votes, the popular votes. Yet when it came to the electoral votes, she lost. And that's how come Donald Trump became president of the United States. the scenario is different this year. Biden won both the popular and the electoral. So they have that kind of system. We have a system that is totally different from this. Okay. Until we change that system, then we'll be defeating, my opinion is, the tenets of democracy, were we to implement strictly what you suggest now.
No, you see, even in the process of going through by-election, look at all the challenges, the hassle, the difficulty we are facing. And we think when somebody passes or there's a vacancy in Parliament, we must go through another election. Now, look at how we replace, for instance, should the president pass away, look at the process for replacing the president. Why don't we then decide that, oh, we elected for this individual, he passed, so we must of necessity go for another election. We have a clear system that allows us even to promote the vice to the president and give the president the right to choose the vice. Because democracy doesn't mean that everything must be subjected to election. The election is not the only thing that makes democracy work. Democracy should be about a system that works for us. Now, if we lose an MP, everybody is on tenterhook. Because look at our Westwall. Whoever dreamt, I remember very well, on the very day of that election, I was here at GBC. And I was very hopeful that this is a perceived, enlightened constituency. And we could never experience violence. But look at it. But over the years, look at the challenge we have with replacing our MPs who pass. And then look at the challenge political parties, particularly then these MPP they have when they have to go through their primaries. I'm not saying there should be no primaries, but we need to fashion a system that is less expensive, a system that works better for us.
Before Doctor comes in, for people like Mr. Joseph Osei-Usu, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, he's well versed in parliamentary affairs. He's been in Parliament. He has a lot of knowledge when it comes to parliamentary affairs. And so is there a way we can allow such persons to impact the younger generation so that if they are supposed to leave Parliament for whatever reason, then we will not be feeling like there's going to be a vacuum, and so no matter what happens, we must protect their seat.
How did they first come to even acquire that experience that we talk about? They started as Ninos as well. If they could learn on the job, I believe that others could learn on the job. Well. Democracy, it gives way, makes that space, creates that space for everyone to put themselves out there and let the people decide whether, based on whatever factors, whether they are the ones they want to represent them or not. So, Drew, unfortunately, I disagree. But yes, so you were moving on, Winifred, with asking Dr. some follow-up questions as well.
No, it was Mr. Odua wanted to follow up on the parliamentary system that we were talking about with Mr. Joe Wise, but unfortunately you say you do disagree with me. Of course,
I disagree. And so, for example, and was it ahead of the 2012 or 2016 elections, we had very leading members of the NPP who were in Parliament at the time voted out. The then Minister in charge of Roads and Transport in the Ashanti region, one of the constituencies there, he was voted out. I'm just wondering if that has affected the performance of Ghana's Parliament, the fact that some of the very experienced persons, we found Honorable Do Ajaho, for example, becoming Speaker of Parliament, is no longer in Parliament. Do we have concrete evidence to suggest that because of the absence of these experienced hands,
Parliament will no longer work,
suffering in terms of its ability to deliver? So, for example, the next Parliament will not have Mr. Alban Bagbin, who was served several years, since 1992. In fact, they called him at a point, jokingly, the Mugabe of Ghana's Parliament and so on. Will that affect Ghana's Parliament and its performance? Well, I don't know, but I doubt.
Right. We leave that to our viewers to also bring in their comments and their thoughts on our WhatsApp platform, 0557 446-429, and already we do have some messages here. I believe we can go on to read some of them. We have George from Tema saying, Osei Owusu and his NPP party must understand the rules of their own games. And that is from George. And we have, hello, I want news under election. And that is what we are doing for you. We will be happy if you let us know where you are joining us from and your name. Hi, great work done. I'm also in the Gari constituency in the Upper East region. Counting for various centers is done. Thank you very much. We have our correspondents there, and they'll bring us that update. Hello, please, I want an update. And if you continue to stay with GBC News, that is exactly what we are doing for you here. And another one says, let's vote for democracy, but results are not coming on this WhatsApp. And we are bringing that as and when they do pop up on our screens. We have Peter saying the results you receive from your reporters from a polling station split into 6 polling stations in Benton. Results from other areas of the constituency are really encouraging, and it means Peter is really following us. Other people are also joining us with hello. They just want us to know that they are there. We have another one saying hi, good evening. Oh yes, good evening. And another one is also saying hi. So it looks like they are just letting us know that they are here and they are watching what we are doing. We have another one that says, my name is Banyobala Confidence. I want to suggest to the Electoral Commission of Ghana to try and use electronic system of voting to prevent physical counting and save time. Although JM said he introduced free SHS, but he didn't call it free SHS, so he is not the one who introduced it. And this is some of the comments from our viewers, and Abdul will be doing that as and when we get that. Please, can I get a figures presidential candidate? We'll be bringing you provisional, and as and when they are certified. What our
viewers need to understand is that we are patiently waiting.
Sure.
We cannot go ahead of the EC, and so far as we speak, we don't have any confirmed collated results from any of the constituencies. The results we have received represent results from individual polling stations. And what that means is that we don't have the confirmed results yet, because at one polling station, Party A could be leading, but at another polling station, which perhaps we haven't received the results yet, Party B could be leading. It will be misleading to tell you that Party A or Party B is in the lead, especially at this particular time. But here on GBC, and as you can see from the software we're using and to bring you the results, these results will be presented to you in real time. Sure. This is the place to be, GBC, as we proceed.
And Abdul, Oforiwa is joining us right away from Medina. You may
Oforiwa from Medina. Medina is one of the very interesting constituencies. Sure. The constituency that is currently being held by the MPPs Abubakar Sadiq Boniface, closely contested last year by Amadou Sorogo Honorable, and this year he is being contested by the man who actually lost to Amadou Sorogo in the NDC primaries, lawyer Francis Sosu. And it's a very close contest, it's expected to be. Tell us what you have observed so far on the ground, Oforiwa. All right, so the system sometimes is a bit slow. It takes about 5 seconds for the reporter on the other end to pick the signal. And so we're trying to work that out. And when Oforiwa can hear me, we will proceed with that conversation. So that's very Medina, another very interesting constituency.
The figures are going to comment on that.
Yes.
No, you may have to wait. Oforiwa.
Yes, some of the issues.
Oforiwa is back.
Oforiwa is back now. Oforiwa, so I was asking you what you've picked up so far from the Medina constituency. A very interesting constituency that we are keeping a close eye on. Doc, I think we will proceed. When Oforiwa comes on, we will talk to her.
I think the case of Constituency and then the Bekwai case raises a lot of interesting issues, and my colleague has surely mentioned some of these. But I just want to make a short contribution. One of the developments in Africa that is not to be aware of is that with this enforced democratization that we are undergoing, this way with democracy. The political party is becoming a very, very powerful tool in our politics. People are not aware of that. In Zimbabwe, the political party could solve an internal problem by getting the military to stage a coup d'etat to get away with Mugabe. People are not aware of that. The party got rid of Mugabe to the military and maintained power.
True.
Yes. People are not aware of that. In Ghana, the political parties almost raised a rival army to the Ghanaian. This is vigilantism. And if you're not very careful, some students either show allegiance more to the party than to the states. So for me, there's a lot of talk about high attrition rate in Parliament. I think it's rather a good thing. If majority of the electorate have had parliamentary experience, if they know the rules of the game, we can better appreciate and influence politics. So yes, it should be very open. People like say, Amase and Co should have the chance to go to Parliament, whatever their limitations, because they are the people's choice. And when the people are paid for making that choice and they are retained, fair enough. So I would rather not say that we should maintain certain people because of their experience or whatever. I think the doors should be open so that anyone that can experience it and then come back. That's democracy. I must say that Article 35(1) of our Constitution sets a national goal people are not aware of, and that is that Ghana shall be a democracy. Article 35(1). So we must actually ensure democracy in every aspect of our life, and I think parties should be opened. People should be free to get rid of this.
Mr. Drew's view also is that democracy does not necessarily mean that every issue must be voted on.
Democracy, unfortunately, means that the will of the majority should prevail. So if the majority's will is that a very competent person like me should leave my area of expertise, that's the people's will. They'll pay for it. But that is the people's will.
Also, and I believe that, again, we've been using the American situation as an example, that the Electoral College came into being as a result of the fact that the feeling at the time was that you could have a majority of uninformed people making a decision.
That's not the only reason.
Yeah.
We have Oforiwa back on the line. Let's get her.
All right, Oforiwa, you are at Medina. Tell us exactly what you've picked up from that constituency. It's a very interesting constituency. We have been monitoring even from here.
So currently, I'm at the Collation Center, and I talk about the provisional results. There's a little bit of tension here. I actually had to run out of the Collation Center and just go past you to get to our car or our vehicle. And it looks like a ballot was from one of the polling stations just arrived, and there was no seal. And also no party agents came with that box. So it was created on some sort of round, and there's some sort of confusion I see here. So that's what we are facing now at the Collation Center, right here at Precinct Etiquette. And also, so far, all the ballot boxes from the 307 polling stations have arrived at the Collation Center, and I have some provisional results from the SDA school, Station 1. So this is the presidential result. NPP had 242, and NDC had 282, and CUM had 4. And with the parliamentary result from this polling station, that's SDA Station 1, NPP had 233, NDC had 281, which means incumbent MP Abubakar Sadiq Boniface had 233, and aspirant MP Mr. Francis Xavier Susu had 281. And with the polling station at Social Welfare School, which had about 16 polling stations, 3A, that's Center 3A, presidential provisional results, NPP had 140, and NDC had 137. And with the parliamentary results, NPP had 141, and NDC had 135. And moving on, still at the Social Welfare School polling center, Station 3B, NDC, that's the presidential results, NDC had 138 and NPP had 107. Then with the parliamentary, so at the Station 3B, NDC had 142 and NPP had 108. Then one of the polling stations at the social welfare, that's Center 12B, the presidential results that provisional, NPP had 137 and NDC had 142. And with the parliamentary results, provisional, NPP had 125, NDC had 127. And so we move on to the Presec staff polling station. Center A, presidential results, NDC had 130, NPP had 160, and GUM had 2. So that's the presidential results. And also Presby Church for the presidential results. NPP had 147, NDC had 162, GUM had 1. So now I have more of the presidential provisional results. So one of the polling stations, which is Gospel JHS, for the presidential results, NPP had 193, NDC had 175, GUM had 4. And the Presby Church, we have one that's number 11. NPP had 121, NDC had 105, and GUM had 2. And yes, so Abdul, please, that's what I have for now.
All right, Ofura, we are grateful to you. We are eagerly waiting for the confirmed results as will be collated at the Collation Center. We are very grateful to you, Ofura Dakum. But keep your eyes and ears open because we certainly will be getting back to you. Interesting constituency it is at the Medina Constituency. Winifred, let's look at the dynamics there, and then we'll speak to Mr. Ojo and Dr.
Sure, and where Akia is currently stationed, the constituency name is Lankwantanan Medina. Lankwantanan Medina, it is in the Greater Accra region. We have 198 number of polling stations. We have 307 number of voter stations and 151,910 number of registered voters, quite a large one at that, and the incumbent party is NPP. So for this 2020 elections, we have 3 political parties fielding in that constituency. We have NPP's Abubakar Sadiq Boniface. He is 59 years a parliamentarian, and he holds an MA in conflict, peace and security. We have NDC's Francis Xavier Kojo Sosu. He is 41 years old, a legal practitioner, and he holds a postgraduate degree. And Prince Joseph Opombwedi of GUM, he is 34 years old. He is a farmer, and he holds a BA in business administration. And so if we would go into the 2016 statistics, 2016 we have Abubakar Sadiq Boniface, which means he is representing the NPP again this year, which is 2020, and he polled 40,283. 40,283. And at that time in 2016, we had the NDC fielding Amadou Bukari Sorogo, and he had 31,650. And Abdul, you are good at, doing the calculations.
You're assuming that I'm good at doing the calculations. It's rather Mr. Drew who is good at doing the calculations for us. But obviously, when I look at the figures, I see a little over 8,000 votes difference.
Sure.
And again, given the dynamics of that constituency and the fact that a lot has changed this year. Now, these are the things. Going into the 2016 elections, Mr. Abubakar Sadiq Boniface had come in as a very experienced politician. He had been Minister for Works and Housing under the J.A. Kufuor regime. And then he at a point, was MP in the Salaga constituency as well. And so that wasn't his first time of competing. But remember that the Medina, Lankwantanan area is also a Zongo area. And so he calls himself also as a Zongo boy. and I'm sure that played to his advantage. But again, Amadou Sorogo, who had been in Parliament for a while, had, you know, sometimes the incumbency baggage following him.
Sure.
And that could have played to the advantage of Mr. Sadiq Boniface in 2016. Mr. Drew. So
Abdul, it is worthy to note that in 2016 we had PPP, an independent candidate, and CPP also on the ballot.
Okay, but because their figures are not that significant as to make any difference, we prefer to focus on those that clearly are in the competition.
I wanted to highlight the fact that this year they are not on, but rather GUM has joined the race with the NPP and the NDC in Medina. But before you go to our guests, we have Dennis Bembari coming from Lorac, Anthony Carbo's constituency. Let's listen to him, because that is also a very interesting constituency.
Dennis, the Lorac constituency is a very interesting constituency because Anthony Carbo won that seat, and I may want Winifred to go to the details of that constituency subsequently. Anthony Carbo won that constituency, but a lot of people believe that it was because in 2016 there was that tension within the NDC. Bidzedin and the other NDC candidates who lost during the primaries could not agree, and so there was a problem. But you are at the constituency right now. Tell us what the picture looks like.
Well, I think the area here is cool. Though 2 days ago there was an incident that occurred here that some people into fear, but security stepped in and everything is under control, and today the poll is going on successful. Nothing happened, and as I said to you now, I am at the coalition center at the Lorac constituency, where the returning officers brought their ballot, and the coalition process is still ongoing. And I have some of the polling stations that they counted, and I witnessed myself, and I would like to put it on for the listeners to also know what is happening here at the Lorac constituency.
Exactly. Briefly do that for us, and then we'll proceed.
Pardon?
Briefly do that for us.
Yes. At the Lorac Commercial Bank, that is where the Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways, who is also the incumbent MP, Anthony Aberifa Carbo, people from 116 416. And Honorable Lorac, the NDC parliamentary candidate, he also pulled 36. With the presidential, the NPP had 378, while the NDC 68. GUM had 0, CPP had 1, GFP Agaronko had 1, and we had rejected ballots of 7. And so I also move forward to the Suma IC Primary School and the parliamentary results. The NPP there had 46, and NDC 141. And for the presidential results, NPP had 41 and NDC 136, 136, while GUM had 1, PNC 1, and the remaining parties had 0, 0. And at the debate daycare, where the former MP and also last 4 years, 2015, who stood independent, Honorable Samson Abu, who is now the campaign manager for Bidzedin for this year elections, his polling station, the NPP had 107 for the parliamentary, and the NDC had 143 for the parliamentary. And for the presidential, NPP had 67, and NDC 163, 16. GUM had 1, PPP 1, PNC 1, and independent candidate Alfred would have 1. I think that is happening there at the Medina polling center. Now, I also moved to the Ermot Council number 1. That is also the Zeding area. At Yermo Townsend number 1, the parliamentary results, NPP had 36, and NDC 156, 156. And for the presidential, NPP, they had the same figure, 36, and NDC 152. Total vote cast was 194, and the total registered voters over there is also 234, and so the turnout there was very low. At the privately JHS parliamentary results, NPP had 130, NDC 258, and the presidential results, NPP had 114, and NDC 273, APC 1, TNC 2, and the remaining political parties also had 0 over there. And total vote cast was 395, and rejected ballot.
Okay, 11. So far you've been able to give us a fair picture of what it's beginning to look like in the Lorac constituency. It's too early to draw any conclusions, but at least we get a picture of the pattern of voting so far, and we are grateful to you. But we will be more grateful when you are able to bring us the collated results, the confirmed results from that constituency. That is what indeed many of our viewers are waiting for, and we are grateful. So please stick and stay, and we will certainly get back to you when the results are certified. That was our colleague in the Lorac constituency reporting to us. Back here in the studio, let's look at the dynamics in the Lorac constituency.
Sure.
Who are those contesting this year?
Sure, Abdul, I'm already in Lorac. Lorac is in the Upper West region. We have 89 number of polling stations. We have 89 number of voter stations as well. And we have 31,351 number of registered voters. And the incumbent party is NPP. And of course, that is Anthony Abeifa Kabo. He is 38 years, a political analyst, and he holds a Master's of Science in Policy Analysis. And then we have NDC's Bid A. Zidin, and he's 65 years old, a pensioner, and he holds a Bachelor of Laws degree and LLB. And these are the two political parties fielding in this year's election. Yes. We might want to look at the 2016 parliamentary figures. And in 2016, we had Anthony Abeifa Kabo again, and then Bid Nkwantazumo Zidin, and if I got the name right, and we had Abu Samson, an independent candidate, and we also had the CPP contesting. Okay, and so between the NPP and NDC, Anthony got 8,704, and Zidin got 7,476.
Okay, so another very interesting constituency, but again, talking about the influence of independent candidates in an election. So these are results from the 2016 elections, the parliamentary elections of 2016. On your screens right now, the cameras will show that in a moment. Yes, that's what's on the screen right now. 2016, Anthony Kabo got 8,704 as against Bid Zidin of the NDC's 7,476. But here's the cut. Samson Abu was at that time formerly an NDC member, and he lost to Bid Zidin at the primaries and decided to go independent. He polled 5,651 potential votes that could have gone to Bid Zidin. This year, Samson Abu is not contesting.
And we understand he has joined the camp of Bid Zidin, and he's actually, he is his campaign manager. So interesting fact coming from there.
The Lorac seat has been held also by the NDC. It's going to be a tall order for the incumbent Anthony Abeifa Kabo. Mr. Drew, how do you see how Lorac will pan out, and considering what's coming so far?
It's a clear NDC seat.
If Lorac is very interesting, and we would want to spend a bit more time on Lorac, can we just go for Clara? She is in Ladadi Kotopon. Let's put that aside, and then when we finish, we'll come back to Lorac. So, Abdul, if you will speak to Clara.
Ladadi Kotopon is one of the interesting constituencies as well. where we are aware the NPP is presenting a totally new candidate, if my records are right. But Clara, you are on the field right now. It's a seat currently being held by the NPP. However, the NPP is presenting a totally different new candidate in 2020. Tell us how that is panning out right now. Is it affecting the votes the NPP is getting in terms of parliamentary, but also that of presidential?
I must say that certainly it is affecting their votes here, because votes that are coming, results that are coming in now is going in favor of the NDC, and it's looking promising for the NDC. I'm currently at the Coalition Center, where presiding officers and returning officers are keying in their data, various results from the polling centers into the digital system. And as of now, the results we have from Burma Camp 2, NPP 96, NDC 100. Laboni SHS, NPP 200, NDC 177. Ata Kwabena Agono, EPP, NPP 149, NDC 146. Country Park LA2, NPP 217, NDC 316. Apapa Trotro Station La, NPP 139, NDC 117. Forces Primary School, Burma Camp 1, NPP 62, NDC 46. Forces Primary School, Burma Camp 2, NPP 44, NDC 64. Nyaniba Playground La, NPP 236, NDC 191. Hotel Christianburg La, NPP 236, NDC 234, I beg your pardon. Taneshi JHS La, NPP 106, NDC 131. Mr. Brown Kense La, NPP 208, NDC 249. Kalamazoo Hotel La, NPP 203, NDC 290. And Remand and Probation Home, NPP 194, NDC 213. I think the numbers at the Coalition Center now is reducing, because most of them have been able to key in their results, and we are waiting for the rest to do that, so we could get all the results from the polling stations and get the certified one, which will be able to declare who the winner is. But as of now, it's looking promising for the NDC.
It's looking promising for the NDC. Clara, thank you very much. We want you to stay and keep all your eyes and ears open. And if you can borrow extra ears, we'll be grateful for that as well, because we need more information, especially from the Ladekotopon constituency. We'll certainly get back to you, Clara. Back here in the studio, Winifred, so it does appear that, again, presenting a new candidate for the Ladekotopon constituency has affected the performance of the MPP, who is the incumbent so far in that constituency. Per
the figures Clara has been churning out, if it's anything to go by, even though we don't have the full picture yet. But before we go into Ladekotopon, let me announce that we are live on Unique 95.7 and possibly on all our regional FM stations. We are being powered live, streaming live on all our social media handles, Facebook at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and they might also want to join this conversation because we are doing an interactive one, and the number is 0557 446 429. So if we are zooming in straight to Ladekotopon, it is in the greater Accra region for geographical purposes, and the number of polling stations, we have 213. Number of voter stations, we have 254. Number of registered voters, we have 117,983. and the incumbent party is NPP. So for this 2020 elections, we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 political parties contesting that very seat. We have the NPP's Joseph Gerald Tete Nyanyofio, and he is 42 years. He is a lecturer and he holds a PhD. We have the NDC's Rita Na Odole Sowa. She is 52 years. She is a social worker and she holds an O-level. We have, I'm sorry, I might have to cross, and we have Sinari Humi. She is representing the PNC. She is 38 years. She is a teacher and she holds a degree. We don't know in what, but that is what the EC is giving us. Gifty Kwashi Odampton is an independent candidate. She is 52 years old and she is a construction worker. She also holds an O-level. Michael Parkojo Bowman Amwa is also an independent candidate, 57 years old. He is a system architect and he holds a postgraduate diploma. And so in this constituency, we have 2 independent candidates who want to vie for this position. If we are going straight into, and that is the candidate profile, so let's go into the 2016 parliamentary and see what happens. 2016, we have Vincent Sowa Odote, and he polled 40,126. Abdul, you might want to note that down. And Ni Amasa Namwale of the NDC, 38,504. And we had CPP fielding Cynthia Mensah. She had 697. So it looks like in 2020, the dynamics have completely changed in this constituency.
In 2012, that seat was won by Ni Amasana Moale.
Sure.
He made an attempt to retain it in 2016. He was toppled by Vincent Sowa Odote. Vincent Sowa Odote, who was a deputy minister of health, deputy minister for Mr. Odo, you may want to help me now, because he was reshuffled and then communications.
No, he was actually removed from communications.
He was removed?
Yes.
And then shortly after he was removed, he went for the primaries, and unfortunately he lost the primary as well. And so it's a double disaster for him at that time. The MPP presented a new candidate. The new candidate who I want to go to the 2020 parliamentary. Yes, and it will come up.
And that will have to come in the candidate's profile.
But again, we're seeing the influence of the independent candidates and how they affect the results of the parliamentary candidates in those constituencies. Even though Vincent Odote Sowa hasn't gone independent, there appears to be some effects on the MPP's performance in that constituency. Also, given the fact that that constituency is a swing constituency, Clara says it's not looking good for the MPP's secretarial Tete Nyanyofio in Dadekotopon.
Okay.
Mr. Drew, I don't know what
I'm not too surprised, because if you look at the trends, although MPP has won the seats before, it was only one time, I believe, that the MPP won. Over the period, the area was turned green. However, if you look at the then candidate of NDC, he has fallen out with his party more or less, especially with the presidential candidate. So it was no wonder that Vincent Odote won in 2016. Mind you, in 2016 too, there was a bit of a huge swing against the NDC. But it seems there's a move towards rebalancing some of the seats. So for me, I'm not surprised, because study in the area has shown that the NDC was quite ahead of the MPP in Dadekotopon. So this result is not coming too much as a surprise.
Also not surprised?
Who?
Not surprised, because they are dealing as a swing area, and again, it's very unstable there, and again, I'm not very surprised that is happening.
Okay, so, but again, we just need to remind our viewers that all the results we have so far mentioned and are showing on your screens right now are provisional. We haven't certified those results yet. But again, we can assure you, as soon as the EC certifies any results from any of the 275 constituencies, be sure that we, right here at DBC, will give you those figures as they come in real time. We were talking about Lorac before we went to speak to Clara. The Lorac dynamics are very interesting. So yes, again, we see the influence of an independent candidate, especially one that is peeved about activities or inactions of his or her party, and who decides to back off and contest as independent, as it was in the case of Metsa Bedzeden and Samson Abu in 2016. I'm just asking for your comments on that as well.
I mean, that is a clear case. Again, Lorac is not traditionally MPP. You see that the challenge, I believe that time, you remember Bede had come back to the NDC in 2012. In 2012, and yes, he wanted to go to Parliament. Mind you, Bede had worked as MPP, NDC
General Secretary.
He was a former General Secretary. He left, he had come back.
He defected and went to the DFP.
DFP with Dr. Obeda Samoa. He had come back, he'd been integrated into the party again. He's a senior person, so I believe Samson felt he'd been hard done by, because the party hierarchy seemed to have supported the bid of Bede in that election. So he felt hard done by and decided that, look, I'm going to also contest as an independent. And if you put together the number of votes the two of them had, it's almost equivalent to what President Mahama had as a presidential candidate. So clearly, I mean, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you that, indeed, it was a split vote that allowed Cabo to go through, because he had a little under 40% to win that seat.
True.
So, Mr. Joe, when it comes to the issue of independent candidates, should the two political parties, let me base largely on them because those are the two we are fielding in this election exactly, should they change their mediation strategies to influence this independent candidates who become dissatisfied with the process?
That's the view that Moment seemed to disagree strongly with. I believe so much in party discipline.
Sure.
Sometimes what the party needs must be above what individuals need, because oftentimes I'm not yet convinced, but some of these individuals who decide to go independent are so good that indeed what can be just because we say we're practicing democracy, they must be in Parliament.
Sure.
But of course they have their supporters, and what they do often affects their parties.
Of course.
Sometimes they may even win, but because they won, it affects their presidential candidates. To what extent have you helped the people? And what annoys me is that some of these independents will say, I'm contesting as an independent, but vote for this particular presidential candidate. And some even are bold enough to prepare posters projecting themselves and the presidential candidates of their party. But in the end, you see that they may not win. And they've spoiled the chance of their party to retain
which
seats.
sometimes is ultimately what they aim for.
Yes, sometimes they also want to punish their own party. But my question is, to what?
Okay. But Dr. Kuni, are these political parties not learning any lessons from the upsets they record when they, allow candidates to go independent from their own party?
Oh, they are learning, and in fact they are making efforts to actually get some of these independent potential candidates to come back. A clear case in point is what happened at Ketia, when the president made efforts to get Madam C to actually not contest as independent. So they're learning. But I personally disagree with my colleague, my senior colleague. I do not really think that we should conquer the political parties. In fact, if I have any fear, it is that the parties are too strong. They must be disciplined. Like I said, they are posing a danger to the state. Many youth are now more like their party than to the state. One sure means of making it as a young person is to be loyal to your party and then to rest their political position rather than to the state. And like I said, in a nearby country, the political party was able to solve its internal problem through staging the coup d'etat through the military in Zimbabwe. So there must be a way of disciplining the party. And I believe in the principle of accountability. So if the party does not play its ball well and people are leaving, that's the internal business. Yes. And I think our parties are learning. For example, as one politician said, fear delegates. Thereafter, one party started this process of actually enlarging whatever. So the parties are also learning. And I think they must be more responsive to the needs of their masses. But if a few top guys sit in Accra headquarters and decide that X, Y, Z must be in Parliament, so at all costs, they must go. In spite of the feelings of those at the locality, I think it's dangerous.
So, in our elections, so for example, it doesn't matter what an incumbent does, the amount of development he brings to an area. So in the case of Anthony Obeyifa-Kabo, the Deputy Minister for...
A very eloquent politician, yes. Very eloquent speaker, doing so well at the national level perhaps. But if the people say he should leave, fair enough.
No, but he's, and we have been to that constituency, the road networks, because he was Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways, massively improved, you know, brought some infrastructure projects, school buildings and so on. All these do not matter in elections at the local level.
As far as I'm concerned, as a politician, your first and primary duty is to actually keep in touch with the people to maintain your power base. If you fail in that, you should actually go. You can still serve the nation in different capacity. I'm not worried by the attrition rate in Parliament. If they come back, others would learn. If they come back, we have to improve some society. You know better, you won't be misled by what PR tells you and all that. So I'm not really worried by that at all. Others have to try to climb the roof and all that. So I'm not really disturbed by that at all. I think we must really discipline our parties. They're getting too strong.
Yeah. Political parties are getting too strong. So let's look at some, and I'd like us to go to the Upper East region, even before, the Northeast region, I beg your pardon, Northeast region. It's up there, right under Upper East region. Winifred, sure. Yes, you can find the Northeast region there. And I want us to go to Wale constituency, which Wale is right there. Yes,
when you're just closer to it, sure.
Let's look at Wale. Give us the dynamics there.
So, constituency name we have.
And I'm asking you to go to Wale because it is the constituency that the Vice President comes from, and we want to see what the effect was in 2016 and what it is likely to be in 2020.
And that is why we witnessed him voting during the day. Yes. Sure. So the region name is Northeast. Constituency name is Wale. Number of polling stations, we have 141. Number of voter stations, we have 161. Number of registered voters, we have 75,501. And the incumbent party is the New Patriotic Party, NPP. So in this election, the candidate profile, we have Abubakari Abdallah of the NDC. He is 49 years old. He is a development consultant and he holds a master's degree. We have Ibrahim Mubarak of the NDP. He is 35 years and he is a farmer and he holds a degree. And the EC didn't give us what exactly he holds that degree in. And we have NPP, 54 years. He is a teacher. He holds a master's degree and his name is Lariba Zuwera Abudu. And these are the candidates contesting for that seat.
Can we go back to 2016 and
sure.
look at the performance of the presidential? Yes.
And we have 2016 projected on our screens. Parliamentary.
Okay.
2016 parliamentary. Sorry. No, this is 2016 parliamentary.
Okay.
And if our cameras can pan to that, and for that, for the NPP, we had Sagri Bambangi.
Sadi Bambangi.
Sure, I got the name right.
Deputy Minister for Agric, even as we speak. Yes, so.
Right. He polled 26,431. And then Abdallah Abubakari of NDC polled 23,851. And this one, maybe my math can work, roughly 3,000 thereabout. And then we had CPP Fielding Sabratu Mahama, and she had 329. Abudu Kwabna Yusuf had 241. And these were the figures that panned out in 2016.
So Drew and Doc, I asked us to focus on Wale Wale because, again, when you look at the dynamics of Ghanaian politics, a running mate has always been chosen based on certain factors, one of which is to be able to get votes from a certain part of the country and so on. Wale Wale, 26,431. Can we see the presidential? That's what I'm interested in. These are parliamentary
so you want me to go to
2016 presidential? Sure. Okay, so there's 27,731 as against 22,100.
Sure.
Did the Dr. Baumia presence play a role in the results in the Wale Wale constituency in particular, where he comes from in 2016?
And not only in Wale Wale, it's also reflected in Nalarugu.
Gambaga.
In that same election. Yes. Because although MPP had not won Wale Wale before, but MPP had won Nalarugu earlier. And remember, Aji Ali Mahama was an MP who lost, came back again and won. So the effect of the Vice President Baumia reflected not just in the Wale Wale area, but throughout the, if you look at it from his own area, the Mampusi area as a whole. So that was an important thing that reflected. And indeed, in 2016 election, MPP did extremely well in the northern region as a whole. And much of it could be attributed to the candidature of the vice president on that ticket. So, yes, it is obvious. Wale Wale was never an MPP area, but it is now being turned blue over the period. And especially if MPP is able to maintain that seat in this current election, it will be very difficult for the NDC to go back and win that seat.
Let's see who represents both parties at the primary, what am I saying, parliamentary elections this year. So let's go to...
But let me quickly add that in the 2016 election, Wale Wale was represented by no mean a person than the then Northern Regional Minister.
Yes.
And he campaigned vigorously. And under normal circumstances, he should have won the seat. But obviously, the very presence of Dr. Baumia on the MPP presidential ticket actually tilted it in favor of the MPP then in 2016.
Winifred, can we look at the...
Sure, and Abdul, before we do that, I understand we have a live feed from Samuel Ayama, Navrongo. If we can go straight to Samuel Ayama and take that.
Sure. A very interesting constituency. Sami, you've had a very long day. Sami, earlier in the day, was with the vice president when he went to vote. Sami was with the Nayiri, the overlord of the Mampugu traditional area in the Nalerbo Gambaga constituency when the Nayiri went to vote. Sami is currently in Navrongo, and what can you tell us, Sami?
Yeah, hi. Currently, we are in the Navrongo. We are in the Navrongo Coalition Center, that's Navrongo Central Constituency. And then as we speak, the regional minister, Honorable Tangoba Abayage, is battling it out here with Samson, popularly known as STC, here in the Navrongo Central Constituency. And then the minister just took his to her Facebook page and she has conceded defeat, even though as we speak, the coalition is still ongoing. The other EC officials from the polling centers, they are coming in here to sort out whatever that they had at the various polling centers. But as we speak, the regional minister, Honorable Tangoba Abayage, just taken it to her Facebook page, and she has conceded defeat, meaning the NDC, the NPP have lost the Navrongo Central constituency seat to the NDC here in the Upper East region, and it will be recalled that this same seat was occupied by the current Minister for Aviation, Honorable Joseph Kofi Ada, and he lost the primaries to the regional minister, Tangoba Abayage. So as we speak here in the Navrongo Central constituency, as you can see the back here, sorting is currently ongoing, but when we move outside, we realize that the coalition, all the EC officials are gathered here, and they are continuing with the exercise. They are putting the figures together here, but the election is still it's almost over, because the regional minister just took to her Facebook post, and she has considered defeat. As you can see at the projection here, they are still not done with the projection, but the regional minister, Tangoba Abayage, took to her Facebook post, and she has conceded defeat to the NDC. So here in the Upper East region, as we speak, the other regions, the other constituencies, the coalition centers, the EC officials have gathered there, and they are putting the figures together. But here, looking at the situation on the ground, the NPP have lost the seat to the NDC here in the Navrongo Central constituency. So we will keep our listeners or our viewers abreast of whatever that is happening here, and then we will make sure that anything that transpires here as a result of, or if there's any changes, we will not deny our viewers from whatever that is happening. We will make sure we will get in touch and then communicate whatever that is going here for them. So women, I'm sure we will leave it here and then continue and then monitor whatever that is happening, and we'll make sure that at the end of the day, we will get the other places and then give the needed results to our cherished viewers. For GBC News, Navrongo Central, Samuel Ayama.
Thank you very much. Samuel Ayama reporting from the Navrongo Central constituency, where the breaking news is that the Upper East Regional Minister, Madame Abayoge, has conceded defeat to the NDC's parliamentary candidate, and that means that the NPP has lost one parliamentary seat, at least in the Upper East region. That Navrongo Central seat has also been a swing constituency. Previously, it was held by a former Minister for Defense and the presidency of Mr. John Dramani Mahama, Mr. Mark Oyongo, and he lost out to Mr. Kofi Ada. Mr. Kofi Ada lost out the primaries to Madame Abayoga, who was later made the Upper East Regional Minister during the reshuffle. Unfortunately for her, the EC hasn't certified that yet, but she has taken to social media, her Facebook, to concede defeat to the NDC's parliamentary candidate. What does the picture look like for us?
And we have started recording assets. As Samuel Ayama has just told us that the incumbent party's representative, NPP, Madame Tangoba Abayage, has conceded defeat on her social media platform, as Abdul has just indicated. And so the region name is Upper East, constituency name is Navrongo Central. Number of polling stations, we have 120. Number of voter stations, we have 126. And number of registered voters, we have 54,169. And so for the NDC fielded member, and he is an association of the Certified Chartered Accountants UK, and his name is Mr. Samson Tangobu Chiragia. And so if per what Ayama is saying is to go by, then it means that the seat has changed hands. And then we have the PPP represented Kubizirige Susanna Agoreba. She is a banker. She is 45 years old, and she holds a bachelor's degree in commerce. And she is in Navrongo as well. And so these are the 3 people that we have on the ballot. So if you want me to go to the 2016
not at the moment, we'll do that later on. I'm just interested in picking Mr. Drew's thoughts on the fact that a woman, Madame Tangoba Abayage, has lost. And
especially when he's leading the charge for women.
Yes, but again, that is also not too unexpected, because there was too much acrimony in the internal primaries between Mr. Kofiada and the regional minister. I think some of the things that were said, there were some serious salvos thrown at each other, and they didn't make up. That comes back to my worry that when political parties are not looking at consolidating, but opening themselves up for unnecessary bickering and internal fights, this is part of the result. That seat is a swing seat. So I think that some serious arrangements should have been made to ensure that the party had presented a united, strong force to fight that seat. If you go in like this with a little apathy on the side of one half of the party that feels hard done by, will result in your failure. And this is obviously, and again, I've seen certain surveys that indicated that the MPP was going to lose that seat.
Sure.
So this is not coming too much as a surprise.
Breaking news here is that Madame Tangoba Abayage of the NPP has conceded defeat to the NDC's Samson Chiragia, the Navrongo Central Constituency contest, and that means that the NPP has lost the Navrongo Central Constituency seat to the NDC. We will be keeping... Yes, sir.
Abdul,
yes, Doc, yes.
Abdul, Salome Teta is in Weja Bawe. Let's see if she also has a breaking news for us. Salome, hello.
Yeah, hello, Winifred.
Sure. What is happening in Weja Bawe? Do you have any figures for us at the moment?
Well, as at the moment, the EC themselves have not started giving out any figure yet. But we are told that all 334 polling stations have brought in their ballot boxes and pink sheets here. But they are now collating so that they will project it for us here. There are a lot of people here. Actually, we have human and vehicular traffic here, people trooping in with their ballot boxes. But all are set now. According to them, they have more than half of the pink sheets, and so they want to start projecting for everybody around to see. So we have a very big screen here, and people are here waiting to see the results for themselves. So those who want to be collating themselves to make sure that it's tallying with what the EC has, they are all here. And as it is now, well, I just have some few provisional results.
Sure, let's go ahead with that.
Yes, okay, so at Tower School presidential results, we have the MPP presidential result 128 for MPP, NDC 97, independent candidate 1, GUM 7. Then rejected, we have 4 rejected ballots, and we have 325 total votes. The total number of voters, but we have 237 people cast their vote in that polling station. For the parliamentary results, we have MPP 126, then NDC 101, we have ACP 1, then GUM 7 for the parliamentary results. Then at Old Presby Church, that's at Malam Junction, over there we have two main polling stands, A and B, but we have A1, A2, and B1, B2. So for A1, MPP had 167, MPP 167, NDC 144, NDC 144, GUM 3. Then for parliamentary, for the same A1, we have MPP 164, we have NDC 141, CPP 5, GUM 4 for the parliamentary results. Then A2, Sorry, and A1, we have 4 rejected ballots. For A2, we have MPP 147, NDC 134, CPP 1 for presidential. Then for parliamentary at A2 polling stand, if I should say, MPP 140, NDC 139, CPP 3, the GUM 2. And over there too, we have 5 rejected ballots. For B1 presidential results, NPP 140, NDC 126, then CPP 1. And we have, that's for the presidential results. And for parliamentary MPP, we have 126, NDC 142, CPP 3, and GUM 0, all others are 0. And we have 6 rejected ballots. Then finally, we have B2 at that same polling station. B2, we have MPP 160, NDC 163 for presidential, the CPP 4. With parliamentary, we have MPP 160, NDC 163, CPP 4. And we have 2 ballots rejected also over there. So, well, that's all I have for the provisional results of the polling stations. I was not able to get a lot before I got to the collation center. So currently we are the ITS training school at Wager Junction. We are waiting that the results will be projected so that we know what is up. As it is now, the incumbent, who is the NPP parliamentary candidate, Madam Tina Mensah, she's right here, and there is a rep also for the opposition and NDC. They are all here. They want to witness what is going on here. Sure. I must say there are a lot of people here. Vehicular, everywhere is choked. And the process has been peaceful throughout the day. Yes, the process has been peaceful, except for Malam polling station, where the process didn't actually start on time. But I was really surprised to get there at 5 o'clock and everybody had voted. Sure. In that whole place, they have over 1,000 people over there, but they had 4 polling stands. But fortunately, the process was a bit faster and everybody was able to vote. And by 5 o'clock, according to them, even by 5 o'clock, everybody had voted. Sure. So I think it went quite well. Sure, Salome, keep your eyes and ears on the ground, and definitely when the coalition figures are up, we will come back to you for you to give us. And we understand there is a situation at Medina. There is a bit of a scuffle there, and so we want to get a Kyoforiwa Dako on the line to see how that is also panning out in the Medina Constituency, La Quantanan Medina. Ekia, if you can hear me, what is it? What is happening in Medina?
Okay, tension over here is gradually escalating, and it's all because of the fact that some ballot boxes are coming in without seals. No polling agents, no presiding officer, not even party agents whatsoever. But I believe that each of the voting process, okay, is indispensable. You just can't do away with it. When voting is complete and counted, and all the EC officials, agents, party agents come to a consensus, okay, the ballot boxes are supposed to be sealed. Here we are at the collation center at the Medina Constituency, and most of them, about 5 ballot boxes, it is alleged anyway, but we've seen some with our own eyes, are not sealed. But there is one car parked with a driver in, and a ballot box, it is not sealed. We can't come out. The crowd out here, they are just furious about the whole incident. There is one big bus right here too. It contains 2 ballot boxes. It is not sealed. The driver drove all the way from wherever he's coming from to the collation center with any officer, no party agents, no polling officials. But Ekia, where are these officials? Where are these officials whose duty it is to man these ballot boxes, that they get to the collation centers, I mean, without any skirmishes? Where are they? The ballot boxes, okay, probably, let me say that the buses are just here. The buses that contain the ballot boxes, they came in with only the drivers. So as of now, there are 2 cars parked here. There are buses. I'm just looking at one now. This is a full bus nation school. About 5 buses are in here. 2 seals, not 4 seals. You can see only 1 seal, and no presiding officer, no polling agent, no EC official came with them. So they are asking questions. Nobody can come out of the car, but the security personnel are ensuring that the whole situation is, brought to probably a complete end so that they solve it amicably. I think there will be some sort of restoration. I don't know how restoration. I don't know how it's going to be done, but as and when we get updates of the event, I'll call back.
Sure, I still cannot, Abdul, I still cannot understand how the ballot boxes can, move from the polling station without the escorts that there is supposed to be, and then they get to the collation centers and they are unsealed. That will definitely pose, a challenge in this beautiful process we've been having.
Seeing how the EC tackles this controversy as well. Remember that earlier in the day, the EC had to deal with some other controversies, including some of its own officials who had torn part of the presidential ballot paper in order to deceive people to vote one way or the other. But the EC was able to quickly resolve that. We will be following closely what the EC does to resolve this as well. Remember that the EC almost on a 30 minutes basis gives us updates of some of these things, and so we'll wait and touch base with them as well. Yes.
And Abdul, one observation I've also made is the issue of rejected ballots. It seems as if all our correspondents, every polling station they are reporting from, we have the issue of rejected ballots. And is it that the education we do before the process begins is not going down well with the electorate? Is that what is happening, Mr. Odro?
Well, I think, let me say that in this particular election, maybe the COVID also has been a big problem for us. Because even for me, when I went to the polling station this afternoon, I had a challenge ensuring that I don't put my finger on anything. Hitherto, they will leave something where you vote to help you clean your hand even before you do the voting. When we went there, for where I went, there was no tissue immediately. So I had to stop and ask that I be given tissue because I didn't want to start folding. And interestingly, today I went with my daughter, who is a first-time voter, and she was right behind me. And when we were getting in, I told her that you just follow the procedure I'm going through. So after I voted in the presidential, I waited for her to finish the and when I called for the tissue, she also saw she had to cover it. So some of the mistakes could also have been that right there in the booth, they should have left tissue so that once you have thumb-printed, even before you attempt to fold, you would have cleaned your
finger
before you go on to it. These are some of the challenges. And when you dip your finger in the indelible ink too, they should ensure you try to wipe it off, not to clean the hand, but at least to get the
ink off?
Not the total ink, but get it to a point that it cannot soil the paper you're going to hold.
Sure.
So I am disappointed that I think the EC did well in the design. They improved on the design of the ballot paper, but it looks as if the age-old, spoiled, is it spoiled? This is rejected ballot.
Sure.
It's still wearing its ugly head here.
Sure. I'll be coming.
End up becoming the third.
I'll just want to comment.
Doc, quickly. We have Nicholas Osewusu joining us from Formina. And Abdul, that constituency is also very interesting one, especially because in the run-up to the elections, we had Parliament, NPP writing to Parliament about the candidate who wanted to run independent and the fact that the Speaker had to declare that seat vacant. Sure. And so Nicholas is telling us there is an issue there. And Right, and we would want to find out. So as I go to our screens and find out the incident, maybe if Nicholas is also on the line, then Nicholas may have to speak to us. Hello, Nicholas, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Sure. What is happening in Formina?
Yes, currently we are locked up at the Amonima, the second hall. That's for the district assembly hall. Where the coalition, which has been debated as the coalition center for the constituency for purposes of today's election. The coalition is ongoing. Suddenly there is a challenge by the MPP parliamentary candidate, Mr. Philip Ofori Asante, popularly known as Popa. His bone of contention, as I saw from his agent at the polling station, is that upon the close of election, they were told, I mean, all the stakeholders were told by the returning officer that the number of ballot papers that were issued to voters amounted to 606, that's 606. And so everybody was aware, according to the MPP agent. However, when the ballot box was opened and the sorting and counting were done, the number of ballots in the box amounted to 606. One more than what the, according to him, one more than what the presiding officer had told them, that was 605. So they asking how the extra ballot got into the box. Then, interestingly, when they came to the coalition center, there's a second issue. Apart from what I've indicated about the purported overvoting, there's another issue. They are saying that when they were accounting for the ballot, the presiding officer told everybody at the coalition polling center that the unused ballots were 105. That is what he is claiming. That the presiding officer told them the unused ballots were 105. Unfortunately, when they came to the coalition center and they were deliberating on this extra ballot in the box, they also realized that the unused ballots were 104, contrary to what they had been told by the presiding officer. So that is the claim, and they are rejecting the ballot. Even though the presidential results have been accepted and the agents have consented by signing by all the agents who were there, but they are refusing to sign. The agent is refusing to sign the results for the parliamentary election for the Roman Catholic school at Medina. But there's an issue between the independent candidates, that is the incumbent MP, so to speak, and then the MPP parliamentary candidate. But there's a neutral person I would want to speak to who does not have any interest in the matter, and that's the NDC's agent.
Nicholas, before you do that, has there been a recount?
Yes, the district electoral officer has allowed that. But the parliamentary candidate is rejecting, he's indicating that once there is an acceptance, that's according to him, once there's an acceptance or admission that the papers or the ballots have been tampered with, there is an indication that all other votes or ballots from all the other 67 centers have also been tampered with, and so they are asking for a recount. But quickly, if you could take the word of the neutral person, that's the NDC candidate who was there.
And how is that NDC candidate neutral in this situation? How is he neutral?
No, he was the agent at this particular center we are making reference to.
For the NDC?
Yes, he has signed all the documents for presidential and parliamentary. So he does not have any interest. That's why I'm settling on him. But I do not want to use the protagonist in this instance. Where, in this case, the parliamentary candidate for the MPP, and then agents, and then the agents for the independent candidate. But this one, he has no problem with whatever is being turned out. That's why I want to...
Sure, let's get his version of what happened, quickly.
Okay, yeah. Can you tell us your name?
Benjamin Francis.
Benjamin Francis. Tell us specifically, which thing are we referring to?
Bedma Outfit from Street.
Oh, okay. Tell us specifically what is the issue, as you know, not what somebody is saying. You have been there from beginning to the end.
Okay, actually, since we started, when we were about to count, the issue that of us was the presiding officer told us that 805 people have voted, 805. And later on, when we counted, everything amounted to 306.
So there was one extra ballot in the box.
There was one extra ballot in the box. So, okay. Yeah, so because of that, and I don't know if you are interested in knowing the president, the NPP candidate, and that's all, the independent.
You know, I think the bone of contention is the number declared and the number found in the box.
Okay, so that was, so when we came to the collection center and we tried to do a recount, we counted it twice and we checked.
There was a double recount.
Yeah, the first one was a total recount. The next one was to check whether all those papers had been stamped, and everything was stamped, and everyone has testified to that. But I don't know, the issue was the way there was inconsistency in the serial code. That the serial code, the last one with the 10 papers. So that's the problem that we are trying to solve with us. So everything has been handed to the district police commander, and we have to find everything so that maybe they want to take the to solve the issue.
Okay, thank you so much. So you heard from the NDC agent who was at the particular center, voting center in reference now. So he has told us the issue. So, Thelma, if you have any further questions.
This is Winifred. So the issue in contention, sure. So the issue in contention is one ballot paper. Is that it?
Yes, overvoting, alleged overvoting in the parliamentary, and that has also been confirmed by the NDC's agent.
So,
yes.
What is the candidate saying he's going to do about it?
He's insisting that the district electoral officer should not declare the entire result for the constituency, for the parliamentary election. But the district electoral officer is also insisting once the count has been done and read down, his only avenue for a challenge is to seek a legal redress in the High Court. That's what he's also insisting.
Sure, and so that is the NPP parliamentary candidate for MENA who is insisting on this.
Yes. And
sure.
That's also heightening the tension around the election.
So how is the security situation?
We are going to weather the storm.
But so far there's not been any volatile situation in the...
No, not really. Even though we have a handful of supporters of the MPP's parliamentary candidates around who are a bit agitated, but there hasn't been anything untoward. And the security people are also keenly monitoring the turn of events to see how to nip anything in the bud.
Okay, Nicholas, please stay on the ground and let us know what pans out of this situation. That was Ashanti Regional Correspondent Nicholas Osewusu, who is reporting, and we have it on up here where it says NPP's parliamentary candidates reject votes on grounds that serial numbers on the ballot papers are incoherent. He is requesting that the ballots be recounted, and the agents over there have refused to sign the pink sheet. The district electoral officer is asking the candidate to proceed to court, Abdul, and that is the situation in Fomena.
And that's one other constituency that we had an independent candidate contesting because he felt aggrieved after the primaries at the MPP's primaries. Doc, so again, we've seen how the presence of the independent candidates are affecting incumbents, especially within the incumbent party, the MPP.
And in fact, the dispute that your correspondent talks about is really between the independent candidate and then the MPP parliamentary candidate. Yeah, that's what the story about. They are playing a very distinct role.
And the independent candidate is Andrew Esiama Amaku.
Yes.
And and then NPP has Philip Ofori-Asante.
Yes. And it's again, so now it's clear, unless the court decides otherwise, that Andrew Esiama Amaku, who is the sitting MP, well, you see, that's the problem. Can we call him the sitting MP? Because the MPP declared that seat vacant. Now, it appears he has won against the MPP's candidate in that constituency.
No, bear in mind, I think this is one polling station that this situation has happened.
Oh, is there?
Sure. He mentioned he has refused to sign.
I'm so sorry.
And he insists on recount.
Yes, but the electoral officer is saying that.
I rushed into conclusion. But I apologize for that.
Sure.
But my out of apprehension, and that's that the Electoral Commission assured us as far as possible of getting us results within 48 hours. But so far, there's no really confirmed results that has come out from them so far.
Sure.
I hope they meet their deadline, if possible. But that's just on the minor side. More seriously, I'm impressed by the entire system. It's working out. Because there must be transparency in the entire process. And you find that even though there's no official release results as such so far, almost everywhere there's an idea about the counting process. People are raising objections where they feel they have to, and people are rejoicing because they are aware it's transparent, they can see for themselves. The count and all that, in spite of the ruins in parts of the country, they're in part of the process, and there's a high level of transparency. And I think that's a plus for us. These things are inevitable. They are bound to happen one way or the other. And I think that the laid down procedure for redress are followed so that we can have a very peaceful process.
And Doc, before we went to Formina, and we're talking about the issue of rejected ballots, and Mr. Odro was saying that the polling station he went to, there was no tissue paper. Have you voted, and did you get a tissue paper where you went?
No tissue paper given to me. But the point I want to make on that issue was that, in fact, this year, from what we've heard so far, rejection was not really as serious as it was at the last time. Last time, there was a very higher percentage of rejected ballots. And in previous elections, but this year, since I've come down considerably, you have 2, 3 in the polling station that was seen. So it's not as high as it used to be. Like has come out itself, the design itself of the paper is better than it was previously. So that again is a plus for us.
Abdul.
All right, so if you just joined us, this is our coverage of election 2020. GBC News brings you all the news about election 2020 unadulterated. And when the certified results come in, we will ensure that you get them simultaneously with the EC when they provide us with that information. But breaking news we gave you about some 30 minutes ago was that even before counting of the ballots ended in the Navrongo Central constituency, Madam Tangoba Abayage had conceded defeat to the NDC's candidate Samson, and she went on her Facebook page to concede defeat. Our correspondent is chasing, trying to see if we can get a soundbite from her, so we get to hear from herself what informed her decision to concede defeat even before the counting had ended. So let's look at generally the picture that has been painted. And Mr. Jacko, Mr. Drew, I beg your pardon, you were talking about the general picture, looking at the swing regions, Accra, Greater Accra, Central Region, Western Region, and now we do have Western North Region as well. How is it panning out, and what does the picture look like?
Wow. From all the studies I've looked at, I felt NDC was going to win Western North comfortably. But it's not looking as comfortable as I thought it was going to be. But then there are dynamics that we should look at, because it's a newly created region.
Of course.
And it gives the party that creates it a little bump in the results. Recently, a major paramount chief from the area has become the president of the National House of Chiefs, which also tends to have certain effects. It may not be significant, but it's there that we can look at. Then there is a cocoa politics in that area. So all these things seem to be at play, and I believe something is happening there. It may not be significant, but my expectation from snipers of results from polling stations I'm seeing from the area is indicating to me that it is possible that the MPP generally will improve its vote in the Western North. And then it's looking for me as if the MPP is almost definitely winning the Western region from the look of things at the moment. But these are preliminary views.
And is this also going to be same in the other new regions that we have?
Not necessarily. But I think the MPP is also improving in its votes in the OT region. But again, in OT region, I think we need to watch out carefully for Karachi East, where the MPP has got the incumbent seats. But that seat the MPP won is similar to what happened in Lorac. There was an independent candidate, there was an incumbent, and then the MPP candidate, I believe Jato. Jato won that seat with a marginal advantage. I think he got around 40%. So if the independent and the NDC had come together, obviously the NDC could have won. The numbers in Dambai is also looking good for NPP. For now, it may not be the absolute number, but the two places that need to be watched, Dambai and even if you look at the numbers that are coming out in Kwanta South, for instance, the MPP is not winning, but they are appreciating their numbers in that area, which is what the MPP needs to do if it can. You need to make inroads in your opposition area. Even if you don't win, you must appreciate your numbers. And that is what they seem to be doing in OT region. But in Western North, I think they're doing quite well with some of their numbers.
Sure. Dr. Kumi, do you share in the same perspectives?
Well, my viewpoint is that, as GBC has very clearly indicated, throughout this election period, there are some 38,662 polling stations across the country.
Sure.
And again, we are 70 million voters. And I think that scientifically, we don't have the basis to draw firm conclusions. But the few that we have heard, the question I get is that, or what impresses me a number of things. One, the system seems to be working fairly well. Alleged flaws are being pointed out, are being addressed. I'm impressed by the Speaker of the Electoral Commission has so far responded to some of these concerns, and they should continue that way. I'm also impressed by how the system makes it possible for those who have grievances to come out so early in the day. Yeah, that is something that I'm very impressed
Especially
with.
Because the EC is not shielding its people and bringing them out.
And I'm also impressed by that the EC has, at least on one occasion, been able to admit fault on the part of his own person, employee, and all that. But again, coming to the actual voting result, like I've said, well, I think that we don't have enough to form definite conclusions. But what we felt so far from your correspondence across the regions, I'm struck by the fact that some of the swing regions, at least the Greater Accra region, the margin of difference between those winning and those who are in second place are not so high. It's not as high as I thought they would be, or they have been in previous elections. The margin seems to have narrowed a little. That's what in the so-called swing areas. That's one. Two, I'm also struck by the fact that the so-called independent candidates, the independent candidates are not doing well at all. Even Goom, supposed to do so well, is not really doing so well. He's done well in the sense that he seems to be overtaking the CPP and then the PNC and then the PNC and those who are now PPP, who are traditionally seen to be distant. But overall, all these three candidates seem not to be doing well at all. Some, for example, like Walker, are not even heading, getting even one vote anywhere. So all of them seem not to be doing well at all. And it seems that the party is really quite entrenched in our system, and party candidates, the two major parties, are doing very well.
Winifred, if we have time, we will wrap up in the next 5 minutes, but can we go to Ningo Pram Pram if you have time? So are we wrapping up now?
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
All right. I would have loved us to go to Ningo Pram Pram before we go, but because
Ningo Pram Pram is in the...
It sounds...
Greater Accra region.
Greater Accra.
Okay.
Just to look at the dynamics there before we go, Ningo Pram Pram is Greater Accra, Ningo, because it does appear that Sam George, who is the incumbent, is not performing badly at all. We cannot confirm that yet. So, Ningo Pram Pram, you may want to give us the details of the contestants there before.
Sure, I'm already there. Constituency name, Ningo Pram Pram. Region name, it is in the Greater Accra region. Number of polling stations, 119. Number of voter stations, we have 193. And the number of registered voters, we have 94,799. And the incumbent party is the NDC. And for this 2020 elections, we have Alexander Mate of the NPP. He is 47 years old, and the information has been projected largely for our viewers to see. And Alexander is an administrator and management practitioner, and he holds a master's degree. Samuel Nate George of the NDC, 35 years, an engineer. He has a bachelor. He holds a Bachelor of Law. And Freeborn Kofite of Gum, he is 56 years old. He is a farmer and a family secretary, and he holds an SSCE certificate. Benjamin Brown Badu of the LPG is 55 years old. He is a missionary, and he holds an O-level. Angmo Richard Nate is an independent candidate. He is 35 years old, and he is a welding and fabricating major, and he holds a BECE certificate.
All right, so I just wanted us to focus on this constituency just before we go, because it's getting interesting there as well. We'll keep a close eye on that. Sam George appears to be in the lead right now, but again, these are all provisional results. We will confirm that later on. Unfortunately, we are being told that we've run out of time for this session. Winifred, you may want to wrap up for now. But this doesn't mean we're going away. We are here until the last ballot is counted, until the last result is declared, until the winners for all 275 constituencies are declared, until the next president after the election is declared. We will be right here all day, all night, until that time.
And this is GBC's coverage of election 2020, as Abdul rightly said, race to the Jubilee House, and we have our reporters dotted across every polling station that we have in this country. And so far, we have been giving you live updates. We have been giving you reports from these constituencies as and when they happen. And as we move out of the studios, and we are giving you 24/7 coverage, everything that happens, we are making sure that you get it. And Thelma and Sani Abdulrahman will be taking the seat as soon as I and Abdul get out of the studio to continue with the discussions. And we have been discussing the counting that is currently underway across the country, and we have been doing this with Dr. Kumi Ansa Koi. And he is, I guess, I understand there is a breaking news, I guess, that we must take. Abdul, if you take that before I wrap up.
All right, so Valencia Tete is on the line right now. Valencia, exactly where are you, and what can you report right now? Valencia Tete, Valencia is telling us about an accident involving a trailer and a commercial vehicle and a saloon car, which has occurred at the Kaswa to Cape Coast Highway. It happened just a few minutes ago when counting was going on at the collation center. And so, Valencia, we would like to speak to her, the reporter on the ground right now, who is at that collation center and witnessed that accident which happened very close to the collation center just a few minutes ago, to tell us exactly what happened. Valencia, if you can hear me now, exactly where and how did this accident occur?
Abdul, if we do not have Valencia on the line, let's make way for Sunny and Thelma, so that when they come, I'm sure we can establish the contact with Valencia to tell us this unfortunate incident, how did it occur, and I'm hoping that we are not going to record any casualties, because today has been largely peacefully and great. We have Valencia on the line now. Hello, Valencia.
Hello.
It's unfortunate we have to speak to you on this. What is happening? Can you hear me? Hello, Valencia.
Okay, the line dropped. I guess
sure. Valencia really wants to speak to
later on.
Yes, she really wants to speak to Thelma and Sunny, so we will make way for them. And so we have been discussing the counting which is currently underway across the country, and we have been doing this with Dr. Kumi Ansakoi. He is a senior lecturer, political science department of the University of Ghana, and Mr. Frederick Ejako Odro. He is a Dean of Studies and Research Institute of Local Government Studies, and he is sitting on my extreme left, and Dr. Kumi is sitting just right behind me. Gentlemen, we are so grateful that you made time to come to us and, gift us with your thoughts and your comments, and we are grateful for that. And so continue to stay with GBC News as we bring you comprehensive coverage of election 2020. And here at GBC News, we say Ghana wins. And of course, this is because after everything is said and done, we'll still remain one people, one country, one Ghana. Thank you for watching. And Sunny and Thelma joins you right away.